Today, we just want to introduce you to the original name of this land, Canaanland. And we also know that we are in America, which we call North America, but originally we call that Almoraxa Septentrionalis. And so this is Canaanland Almoraxa Septentrionalis. Get used to hearing that. To start off with this intro, Yasun El to lead us in the prayer.
Islam, Morris.
Islam.
Allah, the mother and father of the universe.
Allah, the mother and father of the universe.
Allah, the mother and father of love.
Allah, the mother and father of love.
Truth.
Peace.
Freedom. And justice. Allah is our protector.
Allah is our protector.
Allah is our guide.
Allah is our guide.
And our salvation. By night. And by day. Through his and her holy prophet.
Sheikh Sharif
Abdul Ali.
Islam.
Hotep.
Ashe.
Amen.
Ameen.
Islam, Morris.
Islam.
So today is January 30th, 2012.
2004 on the original Abyssinian calendar. It's the FYI.
So today we're starting up Moorish History Month. Right, we're starting up Moorish History Month because we want to get the beat down on Black history before it starts. Right, so we basically are going to be just beating Black history to a pulp tonight, right? Because it's time for us to be rid of it. It's not amounting to anything. It's not helping anybody. It's just a money-making scheme for people who want to keep people in servitude. So we're going to read from, I'm not sure if this is an article or from a book, but it's called The Moors by John R. Moore. And we're just going to read some excerpts and break down some information so we can have a perspective. The Greeks were the first civilized Europeans who were primarily civilized by the black Africans of the Nile Valley. The Greeks passed on this acquired culture to the Romans, who ultimately lost it, thus initiating the Dark Ages that lasted for 500 years. Civilization was again restored to Europe when another group of black Africans, the Moors, brought the Dark Ages to an end. So we'll just stop right there. So Mr. John Moore is saying that the Greeks were the first civilized Europeans who were primarily civilized by the black Africans of the Nile Valley. That's a false statement because there's no such thing as black Africans, right? Why didn't he say the Greeks were the first civilized whites? Right? Why? If this is an author putting out an article and he's gonna call these people over here black Africans, then why didn't he call the first, or call the Greeks first civilized white Europeans? Right? Just right here. And if you read any book by anybody, this is gonna be a common theme in the book. That there's these people called black whatever, black Africans, black Egyptians, black Phoenicians, black Saracens, black Muslims, black whatever. And then they're gonna talk about all the other races by their national origin or whatever geographical landmass they happen to inhabit. Also, he speaks about civilization was again restored to Europe when another group of black Africans, the Moors. The black Africans that he talked about in the first part are Moors. Period. There's nothing to argue. It's nothing to get mad about. That's what it is. Black Africans are a fiction, so what they're really talking about is Moors. In anything that you read. So that's the first thing that we're gonna cross off of black history. Right? So the first thing to cross off of black history is anything that has black attached to it. So if you are reading a book by, I don't care who it is, John Henry Clark, Dr. Ben, Runoko Rashidi, Asher Kwesi, whoever, when they say black Africans, replace it with Moor. Put Moor there. Or put Moors there. Or put me there. Me as in you. Because really, it is you. You are who you're reading about in these history books. You're not reading about another group of black Africans called the Moors when you read something about the Moors. Because everybody wants to speak about Moors from a third-party perspective, especially branded Moors that are branded Negro black colored and want to push this black Negro colored African agenda. We're not even going to talk about how it came about and all that, because all that's irrelevant, because there's no such thing as black history. So I don't care how much you want to make it be something, because the Queen recognizes it and she's going to have a black history celebration, and the presidents and the prime ministers and whoever recognize it. It's a fiction. There's no such thing as black history, period. And it's nothing to get angry at. It's nothing to take personal because you want to call yourself black. If you trace black back, the furthest that you're going to go is the 5th century. So that term black doesn't apply to anything before the 5th century. That's not what I say. That's just how it goes. Peace, fam. Stay quiet. We'll be in touch. All right. So we have to, and we're only talking to sincere people, right? We're not trying to wake up 80 million people because Noble Jwali said, "What are all y'all doing here?" Right? I could count the amount of you that's going to be saved on my hands, and then have fingers left over. So everybody's not going to be saved, right? So we don't cater to those who don't want to save themselves.
You're right.
We're dealing with the people who realize that their condition could be better, and they've tried everything that they can try, and it didn't work. And what we're now presenting is the alternative, because we've tried black history, and black history doesn't work. A man just got gunned down in a barbershop like last week. Down the street from here. Right? Black guy, according to the news. A black guy shot a black guy. This is what they do. And when they look up black, it means everything negative. Same thing with the history. If it's black history, it's negative. It's not something for you to parade around and be happy that you have that. It's a fraud. Right? Same article. In the year 711, a black Moorish army from Morocco arrived in Spain. We're not even going to go further than that. Because in the year 711, there was no such thing called Spain in the year 711. Because Spain didn't come about till 1492. Right? That's factual. So this guy, John R. Moore, in his The Moors article, even though he might have some facts in here, there's also some things in here that we have to question. And we have to address them so we don't continue making the same stupid mistakes. Because that's what half the problem is. That we don't address our problems. And one of our biggest problems is black agents that push a black agenda all the time. Right? Constantly pushing a black agenda. Always pushing a black agenda. Right? So we have to be very mindful of what we're reading and the perspective that we're looking at it. Right? So in the year 711, a black Moorish army from Morocco arrived in Spain. under the command of General Tariq ibn Ziyad al-Jibral, with 7,000 troops consisting of 300 Arabs and 6,700 native Sudanese, an Arabic word for black people. They crossed from Africa to the Iberian Peninsula, landing near a steep rock which from that day until now has borne his name Tariq's Mountain, or the Rock of Gibraltar. In honor of Tariq's accomplishments, in Arabic, this is Jabal al-Tariq, but in English, in the typical disdain of other people's languages, pronounce it Gibraltar. Tariq, being a devout Muslim and consumed by the desire to spread the religion of Muhammad to the European continent, ordered that all the boats be burnt when his fleet arrived in Spain, because he had decided that if he could not glorify God by seizing Spain for Islam, then he and his army would never return home but perish in battle. In August 711, Tariq won a vital victory over the opposing European army, not the white European army, but the European army, by defeating Roderick, the Gothic king of Spain. Again, Spain, 711, and he's talking about Spain when Spain didn't exist during that time. After rousing his troops on the eve of the battle with the following words: "My brethren, the enemy is before you, the sea is behind. Whither would ye fly? Follow your general. I am resolved either to lose my life or to trample on the prostrate king of the Romans." Within a very short time, the Muslim forces had conquered the entire Iberian Peninsula. Okay, so now this starts getting crazy now, right? And we're talking about justifying black history by putting black in there in a time when it doesn't exist and has nothing to do with anything, right? In order for them to be able to say Black History Month, and now we're gonna have to go to the black this and the black that and the black over here and the black everything, when black is everything negative. And the only thing that black is positive is in economics. But they're dealing with fiat, so it's still fraud. Even if you're saying, well, black is positive for economics, well, no, not with gold and silver. With fiat, yeah, black, stay in the black, don't be in the red. But that's with fiat, that's with debt notes. Then you could play those color games, right? After the invasion of 711, other waves of Moors, even blacker in color, arrived. The occupation of Portugal during this period accounted for the fact that even noble families had absorbed the blood of the Moor. Racial mixing in Portugal, Spain, and elsewhere throughout Europe, which was under the influence of the Moors, took place on a large scale from that point onward. The Moors were responsible for darkening the whites of these areas. Portugal in particular, which became the first model of a Negroid republic in Europe. For 700 years, 711 to 1492 AD, during the Middle Ages, the black African Moors had dominated and ruled Spain, southern France, and much of Scotland, southwest Europe, providing Europe with its finest civilization ever, recognizing earlier that Europe had again sunk to a level of almost complete barbarism, having lost all of the civilizing principles that were passed on by the ancient Greeks and Romans. Initially, Spain was the only country in Western Europe that had any semblance of civilization, but this later began to spread to Italy, Portugal, and also into Northern Europe. But while the Moors were re-civilizing Europe, noble empires in Ghana, Mali, and Songhai were thriving and trading with the Moors. Therefore, Africa was clearly not some dark continent waiting for any European civilization. In fact,